Hi, I'm Jim.
And I'm David.
And this is the Practical Guitarist Podcast.
The podcast for people who eat, sleep, and breathe guitar. The Practical Guitarist Podcast is brought to you by Great Lakes Guitar Pickups. Great Lakes Guitar Pickups provides fantasy tones at prices a practical guitarist will love. Featuring top-notch construction, attention to detail, and a fully custom product, if you can dream it, Great Lakes Guitar Pickups can probably build it. Follow them on Facebook at facebook.com/Great Lakes Guitar Pickups. Are you a regular listener? Why not? David here reminding you of all the ways you can participate in the Practical Guitarist Podcast. Subscribe using your chosen podcast app. Review us on iTunes, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, or Google Play. Find our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/Practical Guitarist or on Twitter as @PractGuitarist. Support the show. Merchandise is available in our Threadless store at practicalguitaristpodcast.threadless.com. And donate to us via Patreon, available at patreon.com/practicalguitarist. Reach out to us directly via email at questions@practicalguitarist.com. Jim flipped me off this time. He did not count off this time. So we are sitting here this evening with a very special co-host guest.
Yes.
Right, Jim?
Yes, with Robert Jackson.
Co-host even.
Robert's guitar. Yeah, you're a guest host at this point. You've been on the show more than once now. This is what, your third time? And the last time you didn't even know you were going to be on the show.
Yeah, it was like, what?
Yeah. Last time I'm sitting there. I'm sitting in front of my computer. I'm eating video, I'm editing video. I got a bowl of food in my lap.
I don't know what. I thought you were eating cereal. I'm like, all right. Well.
Yeah.
We had an employee in my office dial into a staff meeting, which had a board member on the call with us, and they're sitting there eating cereal during a staff meeting, and I'm like, why do you have your video on? Like, I'm just thinking to myself, like, oh my god, this is a disaster.
At least it wasn't
an absolute disaster.
Yeah, but isn't it funny watching people commit career suicide like that every now and again?
Still there. No, we don't have career suicide. Nobody ever leaves.
Oh, we had a person.
People leave and they come back.
We had a person get up and go to the bathroom. Oh, and it was literally right out of. You ever seen The Naked Gun?
Yeah, yes.
And everybody on a call was like, "Mute your phone! Mute your phone!"
All right. So candidly, we've had 4 of the employees that I work with right now have worked for the company in the last 10 years. They've left and come back. That's that. Yeah, you never burn bridges with my company, and you can't leave.
Well,
you might stay away for a while, but anyway.
But you're not leaving.
Yeah, no, that doesn't happen. Anyway, so Jim, you've got some topics lined up. I have one thing that I wanted to talk about for the show, but I think we're going to hold off on it. There's some impending news from Xingzhe Bad Cat Guitars in China. And you might remember I purchased the Red Unicorn from those guys, and things are afoot. And we will have a long discussion about that probably next week.
Yeah, they're definitely.
It's quite surprising, but anyway.
Telling you. So So the first thing I want to do is I want to talk a little bit about how companies are trying to make money using you. And
they're paying you to advertise for them.
So here's the thing. So you see that person that's on the corner getting, I don't know how much an hour. They actually pay pretty well per hour, which is why people will stand there in pouring rain and heat and stuff to do this. For those people to stand around, flip those signs and stuff. But when you're walking around with a T-shirt on that says Fender or Gibson or whatever, they're advertising, right? Well, it's getting worse. As I showed you guys before the show started, there is a new loot box that's guitarshoptees.com. And so you get a limited edition T-shirt for every month. That's I'm being serious here, featuring an iconic guitar shop. How many iconic guitar shops are in the United States? 5. I know the one in Rochester.
5.
I know the one in Manny's, but I don't know if Manny's.
I mean, they're out there, but do you think those people are participating in this?
Right.
Guitar Center is going to throw their shirts in the box.
No. I am going to be very surprised if somebody gets a box. The box shows up that's with a T-shirt that says Chicago Music Exchange or Groons or Moore's Guitars. One of those.
Yeah, right.
What's the one in Rochester? It's one of the largest guitar shops that exists. But would you do this? Who would do this?
No. And you know what? People do it. And that's what's scary. But I don't think that this particular item, this particular box is going to take off. But people do stuff like that. I mean, honestly, think of the amount of people who buy like the lowest end Fender guitar you can get. Or the perfect example is that Gibson, the one they did on Amazon. It was like $350. Yeah. I forget what that was. I forget what it was called. But now they brought that
Maestro.
It's an Epiphone model now. No.
Yeah.
So Gibson did a run of guitars specifically for Amazon, and they were like Les Paul shape, but they had a pick guard, single coil pickups. It was a whole thing. And they were bolt on. Gibson made bolt ons. I mean,
they had
Marauders,
and it said Gibson on the headstock.
Yep.
Really.
And
wow.
This was like 2 or 3 years ago. Gibson SL or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it was the XL or the SL. I want to say it's SL. I think you're right.
I think it had an ML as well.
Yeah. But anyway, it's the house of guitars in Rochester.
The whole reason those guitars existed was, well, there's 2 reasons. Number one, Amazon wanted to sell a Gibson guitar, right? And then the other one was, it says Gibson on the headstock, so we know people are going to buy it, but at the same time, like the people who buy it are going to show it to their friends, and that's advertising.
That's right.
Now, do you think Gibson needs advertising like that?
I wouldn't. I would think that was probably negative advertising, except for the part where. Yeah, go ahead.
Brother. I was going to say, I would say that's probably advertising for $100 guitars is probably exactly what Gibson does not want.
Right.
At least at that time. So this new leadership that they just that they just implemented. Who knows what changes are going to come, but their previous leadership, I am going to say. No, they don't want to sell $100 guitars. They want to sell $3,000 and $4,000 and $5,000 guitars.
Speaking of the guitars, TSO, my family went to see TSO in Albany, New York the other night.
Trans-Siberian Orchestra for the uninitiated.
Yes, Trans-Siberian Orchestra. Thank you. And those who don't know, Trans-Siberian Orchestra was birthed from a band called Sabotage, which was kind of a thrash heavy metal band. Anyway, one of the guys was playing that new Flying V that Gibson put out last year. It looks like
the modern V.
The Rhodes V or the Roswell V.
Yeah.
The Gibson Roswell V.
The Captain Picard signature model.
Yeah. Yeah. Get the Gibson Roswell V.
Hey, it ain't the worst thing Gibson's done. Has anybody seen the
Jackson Roswell V?
Yeah, I mean that thing's ugly, but it's not as bad as the Polymodern.
No, that thing was awful.
But I've made fun of that guitar so much, but I think in a certain sense, like there's kind of an ironic thing you can do if you play that. You know what I mean? It fits a 50s aesthetic. If you're a 50s style band or something like that, I could definitely see that being like a 50s futuristic kind of thing.
You're talking about the Flying V one?
Yeah, that modern V. The Polymodern, forget it.
No, that's just...
Well, you're going to use it to shave?
I guess. Yeah, that's the only thing I can think of.
Reminds me of one of them Celtic swords, with the... Anyway.
Hey, wait, the katana's already been used for a name.
Yeah, I'd rather use a katana, frankly.
Yeah, so anyway, pipe up, guys. I mean, in the channel, would you spend the money to get a loot crate of Guitar Shop tees? I don't know what the pricing is because I didn't go to guitarshoptees.com, but I'm sure I can while we're doing this stuff. But I just the perfect gift. And the thing is that, folks, here's your overhead for this gift before it even left the place. They got a full page ad in Guitar World. Full page.
$25 per month.
$25 a month.
As seen in Guitar World, Guitar Aficionado, Guitar Player, Vintage Guitar, Acoustic Guitar, and Premier Guitar.
Wow. I gotta get a couple of those just to I'll have to go to like Barnes and Noble to see if they got full page ads in those. Because if that's the case, they're spending a lot of money for very little return.
Featured music shop of the month is Mass Street Music in Massachusetts.
You know that place that I've never been.
It's not in Massachusetts. Bullshit. I think fucking listen to this shit. Mass Street Music, Massachusetts Streets, Lawrence, Kansas.
Yeah. They don't even know what the fuck they're talking about.
What?
Oh, good Lord.
I cannot make this shit up. I have neither the time nor the effort.
You got to wonder whose money was behind this one.
This reeks of being like all these like really small guitar shops kind of getting together like as friends, like maybe at a guitar show or something where they're exhibiting and being like, you know what, we should find a way to like sell T-shirts for all our stores, like as a link share, they do online. And to their credit, but the thing is, if you don't know what that shop is, do you want to wear their shirt?
Right.
I mean, the guy. I'm not saying this is the case, but I mean, the guy could be a skinhead, and you're wearing his shirt around.
Yeah, might not be a good idea. So that goes right to advertising, and that's the reason I invited Robert today. I actually invited him like I don't know what time it was. Was that noon today?
I think conversation started around an hour before that or so.
Yeah.
But it was late this morning.
So I wanted to get Robert on here because Robert has some insight into some things. So Robert's got a channel with about 10,000 subscribers, right?
Yep. Yeah, a little over 10,000.
Yep. And the thing that the reason that I invited Robert on was because we were talking about this, and I'd heard this from a few different YouTube community people, whether they were talking about on their channel, whether it was through the side, like some things that David had said, some stuff that Phil McKnight was saying. So Phil McKnight, who's got a channel of over 100,000 subscribers.
Yeah, he's got a big guitar channel. If you don't know who he is,
his grew fast. I remember when he was at about 40. Wasn't that all that long ago?
Yep. Yeah, no, it's because there's three things that you can say about Phil McKnight, that you can say about Robert as well. But the reason that he grew so fast, I think, was because number one, he got in relatively early. Number two, he's very personable. He's very genuine. You can tell, and everything he does. And he doesn't just sit in one like topic. He
seems like a normal guy too, and that's the other thing. Some of these guys don't seem like normal dudes.
No, they come across as disingenuous.
Well, like when I see Jared Dines, like I don't identify with him because he's so frat boy kind of thing.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I think I think for me with him, it's the same reason that a lot of people don't like, even if they like their music and don't like them. I've heard that the reason that a lot of people don't like Nickelback is the same thing. They come across very frat boy and very.
I mean, I could see that. I honestly, to Nickelback's credit, I don't identify him that way at all. I don't know how I identify him, but I don't identify him as frat boy.
Yeah. So, Robert, we were talking, and so your channel, which has gotten some some traction, is still having trouble getting people to send pedals. And it was one of them. I don't want to name the pedal company. We have both your channel and our channel have been trying to get the same person to send a pedal to demo, and I've seen demos of that particular pedal. Again, I don't want to call it out. I don't even want to give a hint.
Yeah.
But I've seen some demos of it that are just plain awful, and that he paid for, and they're terrible. And so I want to get to when you get a pedal and you talk about demoing it and what you do. What is it that you look for? Number one, in the pedal, and number two, what is your process for demos to be able to get them out there to the public?
It's number one, pedal demos for me, as many of them as I do, they haven't really been the big, the videos that have attracted the most traction to my channel. Right. That's been the top 10 lists and the videos about tone woods and, stuff like that. It's anything with Gibson in the title, things that, which, those are all three of those kind of are things that, that I think people kind of have an emotional attachment to.
Sure.
With, so with pedal demos, a lot of them, and you guys know that I've demoed a lot of like those budget line TC electronic pedals, and I do that because, one, I like those pedals, two, I'm funding everything out of all that stuff out of my own pocket.
Yeah. They're inexpensive.
Right. And, they're a relatively current product. And, number three, I actually happen to like most of them and I enjoy it. But, some of them are, some pedals that I do, like, distortion, overdrive, chorus pedals, things like that I use a lot. Those are things that are a little bit more of my wheelhouse. I've got a demo on an Octaver pedal going up next week. That is not something that I would really gravitate towards, but, try to come up with some ideas about how a guy like me would use that. That one I actually went and used in a full track that, I'll be curious to hear what you guys think of that, but
for sure.
And then put it on the floor and, turn it on and twist some knobs and, see what kind of, basically just, hear what it sounds like and see if it's something that's, see what kind of sounds I would get out of it, and I try to leave my personal opinion about that stuff out of it to some degree because, like the fluorescence, the shimmer reverb that I did just a week or two ago, not really my thing, but that, and that, there's a lot of players out there, that are total opposite end of the spectrum from what I do, that might, hear something in there and say, yeah, that's actually pretty cool. I could use that.
Yep.
So
sure.
Now, and I haven't done as much of this lately, but I used to, always put the link on the link to the video on both my YouTube or both my Facebook pages, and then share it in various different groups. And the problem is, Facebook and YouTube, Facebook no likey.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
So they want me, they want you to actually upload the video there too. And
yeah, no,
I don't. I've done it a couple of times, but but there's no benefit in it for me other than promotion, because they're not. YouTube's still not going to go out of their way to promote my YouTube channel, but
yeah, that's one of the things. That's one of the things I wanted to talk about. So, David, you see this, sure, is that now when YouTube is suggesting videos, they're actually suggesting stuff got nothing to do with your thing. It might be you want to check out this Nicki Minaj video. What the hell are you doing? I'm not. I've never watched anything pop wise.
They have been wrecking havoc with the search algorithms over there too. I mean, things that you used to be able to search for and like pull up usable content now pulls up a bunch of soccer videos. You're going, what? Okay, let me try it this way. And I've found that that's impacted even some of our videos and the way that we get organic traffic. Like you would think, I have my series of videos that we're working on and continue to go through is these fuzz facts videos. That's why I've got all these fuzz pedals sitting next to me here. And I'm about to do 3 more. And I know that even though I do those 3 more, they're not necessarily going to show up in the sidebar. They don't even show up in the sidebar for other fuzz videos. Like I just talking to people I know and stuff and ask them like, hey, how did you find the video, et cetera. I don't know anymore. Like, honestly, it's kind of the Wild West. And I think that's an attempt by YouTube to actually control who they have to pay out to, how much they have to pay out to who. And it seems kind of.
I think I've done some research, and there's a guy out there in YouTube land by the name of Daryl Eves. I don't know if you guys know who he is or not.
I've not heard of him, but
you ought to check him out, because his channel is dedicated specifically to YouTube creators, and trying to be successful and make more money. And he's been on YouTube since like 2005 or something like that.
Sure.
6, long time.
The very beginning.
Yeah, but more importantly, I think he has 21 YouTube certifications. So he gets how it works, and YouTube actually communicates with him directly. So he's got the inside track. So I try to follow his channel and and learn some of that stuff. But what he was saying was that YouTube has changed their algorithm regarding suggested views. Yeah. So the videos that show up in the sidebar, or the first 4 videos underneath the video on a mobile device, the first 4 videos in either of those places always used to belong to the creator of the video that you're watching currently. Right. Now YouTube has taken that away in favor of longer videos, based on the viewers watching, viewers viewing habits.
Oh, that's really funny, because that's going to wreak havoc with us in the guitar community. Because nobody wants to sit and watch me play with a Wampler fuzz for like 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You know what? And so that means automatically that pedal show is going to take one of those spots.
Yeah. That pedal show, Andertons, and you're right. Videos like that, like even when I get to talking about nothing for 5 or 10 minutes in a video, I mean, even I can only go so long.
I don't want to. I want to do a service to our audience. Like, I want them to be able to get in, get the information they need, and get out.
Yeah. Well, I do. Well, I'll tell you why they're doing it. The longer that they can increase, and it's not necessarily the video length. Yeah, it's not the video length itself. It's a chain.
How many commercials can they stick in the middle of it?
Exactly, and and the chain of videos that they can keep somebody watching end on end. And as David just mentioned, with ads in between, that's what they're gunning for. And if they feel that none of my videos fits the viewer, fits the viewer for their next viewing pleasure,
I think
then they're going to stick.
What's going to end up happening ultimately is I think people are going to be really jumping more on that Patreon bandwagon. If you like our content, continue to support us through Patreon and getting away from monetization. Because I know I've talked to at least a few YouTube creators who have been like, look, I can't make any money on it anyway. We spoke with a guy that had 10,000, actually 17,000 subscribers at one point before his channel got canned. And he was like, I was making $300 a month. He's like, it was a pittance basically. And I can't see, even as a hobby, like Jim said it, you can make more money playing gigs. I mean, when you're
I can play 3 gigs a month and make that kind of money. And that's not even work for me in a solo gig.
So
and I can make that much in a band playing 3 gigs a month, and that's not even a hard-working band. That's a typical weekend bar band.
Now, we all know that the vast majority of people creating content for YouTube are not planning on making it. Like, that's kind of the shtick there. And actually, over the last couple of days, for whatever reason, I end up always like looking for the really obscure stuff, and I find all these people that have like 113 views, and like their channel has like 4 videos. I find the guys that basically like abandon their channel like a month in all the time, and that's the kind of YouTube's got a ghost town underneath the surface,
right?
And if you look around hard enough, you'll find it. And those guys, like, they're never going to be monetized. They're not making any money on it, and they're hobbyists. And like, I get it. It's the same thing as guitar players. Not everybody here is in the business of trying to like make something. And somebody like you, Robert, you got enough viewers that you can start to leverage that. You can help pay for some of the things you're doing on your channel, even if your channel is still a hobby. Like you have no overhead now because you're putting the money back in the show. But I just see like guys like Ben Fricker, right? Patreon, like
he's been open about it.
Yeah, no, and I sat with him at Gear Fest, and he was talking to me about it. So that's the whole thing. He talked about how he's always very clear about whether it's a sponsored demo, whether it's not a sponsored demo, because that's part of like his channel's shtick, and he makes a lot of money off of the Patreon account, more so than the actual show itself. So that's a big part of it. But that patronage system is the way I see it right now is the future.
But honestly, so I've seen a bit of the Robert, if you don't mind me asking, about what do you make a month on your channel? About, you don't have to be.
The best month that I have ever had was, I think, May. I think it was the month after I uploaded the top. What was the top 8 worst guitars, worst production guitars? That's the one that really took off for me. That the month after that, because I think is that when the algorithm kicked in for that one for at least a month, and it overlapped for 1 month. Anyway, but I made my best month was almost $800. Now it's been declining ever since. Right now, between about 2 and 3.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
it just varies depending on what's going on for them. And
and so the reason I ask you this is because there's a lot of people who they look to this stuff as a way to make money, and it's really, I think, becoming more of an advertising way for the person to do other things. Because when you look at it, so if you look at it for trying to even pay your light bill, that probably pays your gas and lights, right? So, I mean, when you think about it, how much gas in the car, however you want to look at it. So when you look at it that way, I'm not sure. So here's Patreon, right? Here's Patreon. It's over on the side. And Patreon is really for your dedicated people. But here's where the problem I've seen with a lot of company or a lot of channels that have gone to Patreon is it's almost like, all right, I've had to go to Patreon. So Glenn Fricker, for example, he's got to use the F word more often. He's got to be even more in your face. And it just seems like, okay, you liked me before, but you're going to love me now. You should give me more money. And I'm not picking on Glenn Fricker. I think, again, I was watching his channel long before all this crap showed up.
I definitely get that. But I mean, if you're to the point where, you're doing this full time and you need income, like you don't really have much of a choice than to ham it up.
Right. And that's exactly, we started talking about this, David, a couple weeks ago, right? When we were talking about, it's been so long because we've had the guests on, that we were talking about, what do you do for your art? This is an art. What we're doing right now is part of our art.
Sure.
Right? We're sharing information. And you look at, monetization has moved. We freely use the F word on our channel. So I'm sure we're not monetized and it doesn't fucking matter. I mean, it just doesn't fucking matter. It's not going to happen. We don't care.
Don't want to be monetized, frankly.
Oh.
I mean, we do the content to support the podcast, and in the podcast, we don't have any fucking rules.
Yeah, exactly. And so we pay for the podcast out of our own pocket, just like I pay for the gas to get to a gig out of my own pocket.
Fortunately, it's cheap.
Yeah. And so, you're paying for David covers the new app.
Yeah, we're Zoom and all that, right?
And I cover the price of getting the podcast up and all the other stuff. So, and we work together. The point that I'm making is that there is a certain amount of, David has been doing these fuzz facts things.
Yeah, I haven't done one since like September, but yeah.
No, and he needs to do more, and I'm going to kick him in the ass if he doesn't. But the thing is, because I'm going to see him in the spring, so I'm going to kick his ass. But we're going to have to all get together.
We're getting ready. I got multiple fuzzes in my hand right now.
And he's got Jason, one of our Patreon subscribers,
has gifted me not gifted me. He has lent me 3 fuzz faces. So
right, and so he's going through them. And the thing that David does, I think it is different, is he's not doing this for the company. He doesn't care.
No, I don't give a fuck. Like that's the whole thing. We've talked about that from the start. We do have our endorsement with Nick Bongers. It's not really an endorsement per se. It's a link share. We're not taking any money from him. And we don't want to take money from people because we need to be able to say, hey, this Black Arts ritual, then this is not true. But this Black Art ritual is fucking garbage. Right.
It's not. But that's what I'm saying, is that we can say that. We can say, oh, you know what? This T-shirt club for guitarists is fucking stupid. We can do that because we don't care what the T-shirt club for guitarists says.
Yeah, we have no tie to them when that's been very, well, I'll make it very explicit here. That's the way we operate. Yes, we will do sponsorships. They probably won't be with guitar companies.
Right.
Like that's the whole thing. If we're going to do sponsorships, we're going to be looking for things that musicians can use that aren't musical equipment.
Right.
So we
Right.
talked about coffee being one of them, you know.
Like your Picker's Grip thing. That's not that's a sponsorship where it's a completely different
I mean, we could
outside of that.
We could do something like that.
Right.
But even, you know, earplugs and things like that, you know. I use the Etymotic plugs, and that would be a company that I would reach out to and be like, all right, you know, do you guys want to do have us do a quick spot or something? They're actually here in Chicago, Jim. So I mean, I get it. Like I totally understand. And there are other podcasts and YouTube channels. We've mentioned 60 Cycle Hum the last time you were on the show. They're doing a paid demo model, you know, and that's providing way more revenue for them than what they're getting off of YouTube, to my understanding. And that's cool. Like I get it. But they also make it very clear that these aren't reviews, they're demos. So you're not going to expect a lot of like opinion about something. It's more, this is how what it does, and this is what I think it does well, you know. When I structure our videos, the way I do them is like, because you were talking about how you do them, I try to look for like 3 settings that are really, really good on the pedal, and look for the intended purpose of the pedal, and try to find one purpose that's like not what you would normally use it for, because that gives you a good context of what it can do. And then like I've got the Wampler Pinnacle Deluxe V2, whatever, you know, it's a long ass title. I've been meaning to do a video of it for like ever and a day, but the thing's got so many functions. It's like, how do I decide what the hell to show? I mean,
some pedals like that are tough, because when I first started doing pedal demos, I was the same way. I mean, I would try every single one out of it into the video, and you know, finally, I get to the point, you know, a simple distortion 3-knob distortion pedal was a 20-some minute video, and you know, this is going a little overboard. So now, so now I've started backing off to, you know, let's, you know, find a few 2 or 3 different settings to focus in on, and if you're able to tweak a few knobs in between, great. But
originally,
for the most part, for the most part, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was interrupting you. Originally, what we were wanting to do is like because I'm a fuzz face guy, so I had a couple of them, and then I got a couple more, and now I have 3 more sitting here next to me. And I wanted to get them all on the floor in these videos and do like, okay, here's an A/B test. This one does this, that, you know, just kind of go through their line. What I'm finding out is like, first off, those videos are really hard to make. They're not easy, because if you change settings, you got to kind of like do the same things on every pedal.
Right.
But the hardest part is just the logistics of putting it all together. And like, okay, so this one really doesn't compare with this one, but this is one that's in the similar price point. And then getting people to watch them. Like, okay, they watch like 10 seconds of it and they're like, oh, I like this one, I'm done. You know, and then they move on. And that's, you know,
right.
Struggle.
I wonder sometimes. So I think that what's happened is, we talked about this earlier too, is that there is a decline in the pedal sales thing of the overall. I'm not sure where that price range is, but before we got started, we were talking about this. So a lot of pedal companies, you know, you go into any job or any production thing, and you say, you know what, I'm starting a business, I want to make some money, right? So you create a pedal, you think this is the greatest X type of pedal there is, and you put it out there, you get it in the hands of some YouTubers, you try to get somebody to endorse, you know, you can endorse. That's tough. It's a tough market. There's a lot of people out there. There's Keeleys, the Wamplers, the others that have already got their feet very well planted in a lot of the high end people. Obviously, as a lot of folks. So what we were talking about earlier was these companies. Somebody was saying that, oh, this company, I'm fine giving you one of my pedals or having you demo one of the pedals, but I want a guarantee of X number sales. And you're like, guarantee your X number of sales. I can guarantee you that I'll do the best I can at that.
Well, it wasn't just that they were like, we want to see that we have this kind of bump, but it was an extremely high bump.
Right.
And the number that was tossed around was like over 1,000 or something for one video. And it was like, You crazy?
And that's what I was getting at. We were talking about how these manufacturers have this expectation that they're going to get this huge bump in sales. And the problem you've got is, and then we talked about the Metal Zone, everybody's favorite pedal, right? The thing is, like David said, the Metal Zone or the DS1 or the OD1, one of those was probably your first pedal.
Mm-hmm.
And we all, we all love our first.
I still have first.
Yep.
Yeah. So I still have mine in a box in here.
Yeah, it probably still has the plastic on it that you can pull off.
If there was plastic on it, I do that all the time. I do plastic on everything. And so I will be honest with you. When I think about that, I think the reason that Boss and Digitech, by the way, are some of those ones that people gravitate towards is because that was their first thing. That was the one that you had. Why? Why was it your first? Typically,
because it was cheap and it was readily available.
Well, with mine, of course, the first distortion pedal. Well, the first distortion pedal that I ever had. What? Here, hang on a second.
Got it.
He's actually got it. He's going to get it.
It's on the store rack behind him.
He's this guy.
Was this guy? You ever see one of these?
Is it the Aria distortion?
This
or whatever?
Is a Yamaha.
Oh.
This is a Yamaha multiband MBD 20M multiband distortion.
Wow.
These things all sell for like $60 or $80 on used on eBay.
Are they any good?
Hell no.
Well, someone say that about the Boss HM2 as well.
You're right. Well, this is the thing. It sounds like complete garbage. And I will say this: I absolutely love Yamaha gear. I have talked about that over and over and over.
Yeah, I love
Yamaha gear. They do not do pedals, and I don't think they've touched making any guitar pedals since the '80s when this thing was current. But long story short, it was, that was my first pedal. And now the first pedal that I got that I love, because even as a kid, I hated that thing. But the first pedal that I got that I really loved was the Metal Zone. And I bought it in 91 or 92, whatever year it was that they came out. I still have it. And, there was a couple other kids in school, guitar players in school that had it before I did. And next thing I know, we were all rocking Metal Zones, man. Gain on 10, then scooped all the way out because we were all diehard Metallica fans and we wanted to sound like Metallica.
Which is so funny because
when you're teenagers, I think they were still like $80 or $90 even back then. So it was it. I remember I had to work for a while to be able to buy that pedal.
Jim, what was your first?
So,
my first pedal, it was a Boss DS1. It was orange.
Yeah,
that's the DS1, right? Yeah. It was that little orange pedal that DS1. Everybody has, and I think because mine was
2 or 3 of at a time,
81, so it was a relatively new pedal at that time. I'm going to look up when the Boss DS1 was introduced.
Yeah, it's like 79, I think.
I would be. This is just as a side note. I've always been curious because I've heard different reports of which pedal is Boss's best-selling pedal after the tuners, the TU2, the TU3.
I have insider
after those. It's I've heard it's either because I've been told it was the Metal Zone. I've been told it's the DS1, and I've been told it was the SD1.
What's that? It was the DS1 for a very long time, but the Metal Zone eclipsed it in the late 90s.
Really?
Yes.
I can believe that because that's about the right time.
That's going from somebody who works at Boss. I won't mention their name because I'm not sure if they're really supposed to talk about that kind of stuff. But that's the Metal Zone is apparently the leading seller, which is funny because they didn't do the Waza one right away. Like you would think that would have been the key target they had to hit.
Okay, so the Waza one, before we get to that, by the way, it was 1978 when the DS1 came out. So I think I got mine in 80 or 81. So it was a relatively new pedal at that time. But we were talking about that Waza thing. I think so. Did you get the Waza Metal Zone?
Me?
Robert? Yeah.
No, not yet.
I'm not allowed to buy anything.
I've got it on my Christmas list. I'm not optimistic though. I'm probably gonna have to wait till after the first year and buy one.
I don't want to throw any names out, but did you reach out to that guy I told you about at Boss?
I haven't had a chance to yet.
Yeah, see if you can get a hold of him, because I'm telling you, he's a good guy. That if you can get one loaned to you, he'll be able to point you in the right direction. But anyway, Boss, the Metal Zone. The only reason I think that I wouldn't put the Wazacraft version as like one of the first Wazacrafts I would go after is because it is. Okay, when you talked about when you got it as a teenager and all your friends were playing it, right? It was, you know why that pedal was so great? It's because it does sound like, a bunch of bees trapped in a box, held up to your head. You're like Nick Cage, that movie.
I don't know. I have nostalgia for that pedal, and I never owned one.
Yeah, and the reason is, I think because I'm not saying it's that bad. I'm saying that it's partially because of the lo-fi, the relative lo-fi of that pedal that really makes it that good. And the reason is because at that age, you weren't really listening, probably. I mean, not all of us had the money at that age to have a nice set of headphones with nice. You're still talking the 90s, right? When was it that you were that age? Early to mid-90s?
I don't know. Mid-90s, I would have been early 90s. Well, when that pedal, I was about 14 when I got that pedal, and that was, I think, I got it the year it came.
Okay, so, and that was what year?
91.
91, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, I turned, yeah.
Yeah, so if you think about that time frame, we didn't have, we have awesome tech now. For even at younger ages, we have awesome tech. My son had some of the most killer stuff, and he was born in 2000. And so by the time he was 10, he had nice stuff, where I had crap. And I'm sure you had relative crap. So you're listening to Metallica, you were listening to it through relatively crappy speakers, right? And so that Metal Zone had that lo-fi sound that you kind of dug, that you were getting from when you were listening to Metallica, or you were listening to AC/DC, or listening to Judas Priest, or Iron Maiden, or whoever you were listening to.
All that stuff.
Yeah, it was calling out to you, right? David,
I have a completely different experience with it because I was much older when I started playing guitar. I was 16, and I went into the store to buy my first distortion pedal because I was playing through a keyboard amp at the time.
Yep.
And so naturally, what am I going to gravitate towards? Big ass distortion sounds. And I wasn't even a metal player, So I started plugging in these different pedals, and I plugged in the Metal Zone, and that was the one I wanted, And it was not because of the reason that everybody else wanted them, which is, okay, you scoop the bids. I like the fact that it had a lot of control to it. And I ended up buying an Ibanez SM7 because it was the most similar pedal made by another manufacturer who was much cheaper. It was $69. And the
Sound Tank?
SM7. So
Sound Tank series.
The gray click lock series with the click knobs. So it would have been the series after Sound Tank.
The Tone Lock series. Okay. Okay. Yep. I'm with you.
So, and I like that pedal. I still got it. In fact, I sold it and I bought another one, a few years ago because of nostalgia reasons. But it's very clear to me, the reason why people want the Metal Zone when they're young is because none of the amps that you can afford will do that sound. I had a friend who had a Crate GFX 7, super high gain solid state amp, turned that fucker all the way up, still didn't sound like that. And he used a Digitech death metal. That was, because that was the only way you're going to get that much gain. You had to have a pedal to get that much gain. Oh, dude, he used a Digitech death metal. He boosted the mids and treble on his amp and cut the bass completely. And that was how he EQ'd everything. The death metal, treble all the way to 10. That's the way he did everything. And actually, to his credit, the way he played, it didn't sound horrible. But it was one of those things where it had to be that rig, exactly that way. And anybody else who tried to do that, will tell you that a death metal pedal sounds like ass.
Right.
And they basically do. And then of course you've got guys now running around saying, "Oh well, the Metal Zone sounds best through the effects loop." I don't necessarily agree.
No.
If you want to talk about that, I mean, the Metal Zone is the next pedal that came out after the HM2. The HM2 was notably used by several bands as a boost, and they were just cranking all the knobs to 10 and going to town.
Yeah, the Swedish death metal, they cranked everything to 10, and I didn't actually, Entombed. I didn't actually learn about that until, I don't know, sometime last 5 or 6 years, whenever that pedal first started to get popular.
Yeah, so they used that, and they actually used the DS1 too. So they left and right with the DS1.
Yeah, I had actually the pedal that I owned before the Metal Zone was an HM2, and it also sounded like dog shit. And
it's what everybody says.
Yeah, and granted, at the time, I was never a death metal guy. I'd never dined every knob on it, and to me, that's just, that's like ultimate torture.
Yeah. So,
yeah, I don't get it. So the closest I have, I did do a video on the TC Electronic iMaster, which is their clone of the HM2, and also sounds equal. I thought it sounded terrible. There's a lot of death metal guys that got pissed at me for that video.
The thing is that's the death metal sound from that country. I mean, like, that is what you sound like if you were going to play their music. If you want to play Entombed, you kick on the HM2 and you go to town. But I get it. Like, that's a very niche thing, and you'd think that the Metal Zone would be a similar niche, but it's not, because it's got more universal appeal. And that's because it doesn't sound as bad as people think.
Right.
And for me,
no, it doesn't. It's it may have been the first pedal ever to come out with that parametric EQ.
Yeah.
So the 4-band parametric EQ thing. So
millions and millions of those things have been sold, right? So those are the top. Because we get back to Jim's point, those are the top pinnacle of pedal sales, right? Literally millions sold. And when you stop and you take stock of the environment that we live in now, we have all of these boutique pedal manufacturers making, and I say manufacturer loosely because most of them are just builders. It's one guy in a garage, right? Or a shed or whatever you would call it. And then you've got all these different pedals. How can the market be that big? It's not. That's what I'm getting at. Like, people think that, JHS puts out a new pedal and they're going to sell 5,000 of them. The JHS might, but I think JHS is probably selling more like 1,000 of them. And everybody else is thinking there's 10,000 of them in existence. No, because I just don't see the market sustainability for that.
Especially with many pedals as they have, they're manufactured.
That's how they cast their net.
Manufactured, yeah.
That's how they cast their net.
So,
like,
they've got 8 distortions and
exactly right. So for them, the idea is that we'll put as many pedals as we can out so we can keep our sales up, and we don't really care which one we sell because they probably all have the same amount of profit, and so that's how they work it.
Right.
And there are other companies like that too, Earthquaker, now Robert Keeley, and maybe they have one pedal. Like, each of these companies has one pedal. It's like their bread and butter, but none of them are touching the DS1 or the Metal Zone. Like, they're not even in that territory. Right. When you look at
you're right. You mentioned Keeley, even the 4-knob compressor. I don't think it's even anywhere in the same stratosphere.
Right. As popular as that
DS1
thing is.
Stuff. So.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So
exactly.
But I guess what I'm getting at is that when you get a pedal builder and you're like, you can demo my stuff, but I'd like to get 1,000 sales off of it. Think about how asinine that number is. Holy mother! I mean, there's no way. That's totally insane. And if you back up, and you think about that, like, most of these guys got day jobs. These pedal builders, Black Arts, for example. I guarantee you, whoever makes this is probably one guy in a shed. I don't know offhand, and I'm not trying to insult anybody. But if it's one guy in a shed, he's an HVAC guy during the day, or something else, and this is his hobby, and that's fine. But let's be realistic here. If you're going to promote your brand, you got to give a little to get a little, and you'll never. I mean, at this point, I don't think any boutique builder has the hopes of being a Boss or a Digitech, which even Digitech is going the way of the dinosaur now. A Boss or any of those other major, an MXR, for example. Wait, go back to the first pedal for a minute. So we talked about the Ibanez SM7. The one that I got that everybody was like telling me was like really, really good, and I bought it and just was like, what the fuck? I just don't get this at all. Was the I had the YJM 308, which was the Ingve version of the DoD 250.
Yep.
And it was like, turn it to 10, turn it to 10. That's how it works. That is the most god-awful treble noise you'd ever heard in your life. I mean, I can't even.
Thanks, Ingve.
I don't. So I played 250 since then, and the thing is, it's not a 250. I don't know what chip they were using in there. I modded mine. I opened mine up. I was taking shit out, and because I was like, this is ridiculous. Cut resistors. Oh, it's funny because I sold it and I had to put everything back before I sold it. But I eventually got to sound pretty decent. But it was it's just one of those pedals that, it's like, oh, this is the way you're supposed to use it. And it, the HM2, like all the Swedish guys are like, oh, yeah, just turn it all up. No, no, not for me. No. So, I loved your Fuzz Face video, by the way. I have to say it. It made me, or the Fuzz Factory. I was crying.
Fuzz Factory.
Yeah, I was crying. Because if anybody buys that pedal actually expecting it not to do the things you're doing in that video, they're buying the wrong fucking pedal. I literally cannot make it not squeal. He's like turning the gate knob up like, this is going to stop it. This is going to stop it. It's higher pitched. It's like.
That was hilarious. I got to say that.
Well, the best part, was when I was picking up, I don't know, election coverage from Omaha or whatever it was. I mean,
no joke. When I owned one, I would get WGN radio, and I'm a Cubs fan. So, like, if I was sitting around, like, working on a guitar or something, I'd kick the Fuzz Factory on and listen to the radio through my amp.
Right.
Oh, my God.
Not even kidding.
You guys follow the same right guitarist?
Yeah. I do.
He did a video recently with some bizarre pedals, and he was demoing something that had some, that had some real bad radio interference. And he said, that's what he said. He said, this thing does pick up some bad radio interference. I was listening to election coverage in Omaha. I live in Canada.
Yeah, he's a
giant fuck transformer in there.
Yeah. So, but yeah.
Check out his channel. They should.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. And we've all had that moment on stage too, where you plug in a cable or something, and all of a sudden, like, you're the local DJ, and you're like, shit.
Oh yeah.
I usually try to like hold the cable so I can hear them. I'm the only person that's like, all right, what are they doing?
Yep.
It's chance music. That's why people. I had that happen. I had a bad cable at a gig. It was one of my first gigs, and the guy that was running sound comes up to me and goes, oh yeah, he's like, I can hear radio in the cans from your guitar, and I'm like, oh yeah, no, it's part of the show. And he looked at me like I was nuts, and I'm like, yeah, it's chance music. I'm like, I'll just turn the volume knob up, it'll come through the speakers, and like whatever's playing will be like part of the show. He's like, you're not serious, are you? And I'm like, no, I'm not.
Right. I'll tell you why I did that video. I don't know what it was, 8-9 months ago, whatever it was. I did that worst pedals video. The Fuzz Factory, of course, was in it.
Right.
And
people got pissed,
and there was all kinds of people. Oh yeah, a lot of people were pissed. And average Fuzz Factory shouldn't be in here. So this pedal shouldn't be on this list. So basically, I was really. Why don't I show you why it is? And that was why I did that video. So, and obviously partially it was meant as a joke, and partially meant, just meant to get a few laughs.
Yeah, and it's very successful. That no one takes it seriously. They're not looking at it and going, "Oh, Robert really hates this thing." Like we're looking at it and we're laughing because like you're just pointing out the fact that if you just like breathe on the knobs, it's gonna wig out. And
on the contrary, I reached out to, and I'm not going to name any names or brands or anything, but I reached out to another company, to see, basically saying, if I would, love the chance to demo one of your products on my channel. And their response back to me was, well, after seeing your video on the Fuzz Factory, I don't think that you're going to be a good fit for us. So
really,
we will respectfully, and Jim knows about this. I told him about this.
But,
yeah.
That's the one I was talking about earlier.
Yeah. So, so
all right.
So apparently a few people did take it seriously, maybe a little more so than possible. But part of me's kind of thinking about buying one of his pedals, out of with my own money.
I'm going to tell you right now. So, this is a little known fact about the Fuzz Face. You may not know this. A lot of people don't know this. The Fuzz Face is, now I have not personally looked at the circuit, but the Fuzz Face was originally a Zoom pedal. Oh, there's a very rare Zoom fuzz called the Zoom Ultra Fuzz. You can get them. They're about $150 on Reverb or whatever. And it's basically, it's a 6 knob, it's the same amount of knobs. I think it actually has one additional knob, and it has all the same functions as the Fuzz Factory, but it's a little bit more tame because I think they were using different transistors or whatever.
Mm.
It's the same idea. You control every resistor in a Fuzz Face circuit.
Right.
And I just think it's really interesting that people give ZVEX all this credit for this design, and Zachary Vex didn't necessarily come up with it. I mean, now it's a little known box, so maybe people don't realize this, but I've had my run-ins with Zachary Vex. If anybody wants to know about it, you can ask me in the group. I'll tell you what happened. I actually sold my Fuzz Factory from him after I had a kind of poor interaction. It was so I always have a slot on my board for what they call a noise fuzz, something that just makes insane amounts of noise. And
something stupid,
shit.
right?
So that would have been perfect, right? and no, but that's what I bought it for,
Right.
So there are two gripes I have about the pedal. Number one, it needs a tone control. And number two, because it just puts out so much fucking treble, it's unbelievable. And then number two, it's the knobs are so sensitive. Like if you look at them the wrong way, you're gonna be squealing and you're gonna be oscillating and you're gonna get radio noise and all kinds of happy horse shit going on. So for me, I replaced it actually with an octave fuzz. And then when I had that altercation with him on his Facebook page, I said, I ain't buying shit from you anymore. You're kind of a tool, so whatever. Now maybe he's a great guy. I think he's a lunatic, frankly. And I think his behavior towards artists that I've heard about and things like that is pretty absurd, but never mind that. So you did that one. I know you've done some of the Panama Amps videos. Those are great too, by the way. And while you're here in the chair, I was going to ask you. So, are you doing any more work with Panama or?
Not at the moment. And I've still got a great relationship with them as far as I know. Unfortunately, and I want to be a little bit vague about this because I don't know how. The owner of the company is going through some tough times and some health issues and stuff like that. And I communicated primarily directly with him. And Stu Beckett, he's a great guy, but he's obviously focusing on that at the moment. And that he's got other people running the company, but they don't want to make any. The way that it seems to be anyway is they don't want to go making any decisions that they shouldn't be making without him.
Right.
I've reached out to him a few times just to check on him and see how how you doing, how you feeling. that kind of stuff, but haven't gotten a response back. So I'm
wondering if I
at
should
the moment
there's a Panama Shaman 20 watt at my Guitar Center right now, down at $300.
That's there's $699 new. That's a pretty good price.
Yeah.
I mean, I see one here on Reverb used for $550.
Yeah.
I mean, 300. I'd jump on it. It's at least worth, Jim. It's at least worth the drive down there to plug it and check it out.
Yeah.
So, I like my Shaman. So
is that like a Marshall type amp, or is it more? I don't know. What would you liken it to? Like 5150-esque or?
Yeah, God, people ask me that all the time. What do you compare them to? And I don't. I mean, functionality wise, it's probably closer to like a mini rectifier.
Okay.
It's got functionality wise,
wow.
it's got two channels, and each channel's got two voicings on it.
And they're hand built, Jim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's got clean all the way up to
tomorrow.
Yeah. It's got clean all the way up to flamethrower distortion. Honestly, even I don't, the full, the high, absolute high gain setting, even I don't use that. I mean, the 3 is about as far as, third setting is about as far as I go. But
I'm gonna buy it right now so Jim can't go get it and have it shipped to me.
Yeah.
What an asshole.
So functionality, if I were going to describe the way it functions, I'd probably put it kind of like a mini rectifier is what it sounds like. On the other hand, I mean, it's definitely a modern high gain. It gets really clean too, but it's, and
what's
you get the blues crunch and.
What's amazing to me is I've seen some gut shots on them. They're not super complex amps inside. They're very simple.
Nah.
And but if you understand like amp design, like you look at a 5150 and you look at the boards in there, holy mother of God,
Yep.
And then you see these other amps that are able to do the same things. That's one of the complaints that a lot of people have about high gain amps. If you kind of trolled around the internet and stuff, is that look, if it's a board built amp, it's going to be more reliable for high gain. Because even the positions of the tubes make an impact on how much noise is produced by the amp. And so those things become like very critical. But then you got guys like Panama who are building these hand-built amps that sound great.
Right.
So I'm looking at it, and of course it's weird because of the weird, symbols that they use instead of writing treble. So obviously you got your input and foot switch. Is it like you've got a clean and a dirty side, or have you got a clean and cleaner side and a dirty and dirtier side, or because it looks like my yeah, go ahead.
If you're looking at the front panel, you see those two little mini toggle switches on the left, right next to the inputs.
Yeah,
that's your voicing switches. So the top row of knobs are, that's essentially channel 1. Yeah. And the switch all the way, the switch in the up position is your clean channel. But you can push the gain on it and get some breakup out of it with the gain all the way up. Right. If you flip the switch down, that puts it into what they call that's the crunch voicing. Crunch voicing pushed. They call it pushed voicing. So more of more of that more gain yet. And then again, the second channel is, 2 different versions of high gain distortion.
Wow.
So, yeah. So, like I said, when you get on the second channel and the high gain voicing, the highest gain voicing, it gets pretty heavy. It doesn't have a ton of low end to it, at least not through the cabinets that I played it through.
Yep.
But it's it's pretty cool, but it's a lot of gain, which equates to a lot of noise. I haven't thrown a noise suppressor or anything in there, which I'm sure would fix it, but even I don't have a use for it. I don't really need to play that much gain all the time. So
now what's the there's 2 switches on the right panel.
There's 3 switches actually.
Yeah.
The one on you got the 2 right here, and then you got the one, the one in the middle, kind of off to the side. That's just your that's your channel selector if you don't have the foot switch plugged in. That's all that is.
Okay.
The other two switches, on the other hand, are your power soaks. So you can, and it's got Roman numerals on it. So you can actually switch either channel down independently to 10 watts instead of 20.
So it is kind of like my Lone Star was like. It is like that. It's got my Lone Star has like a 5, 10, and 15 watt settings. Or 5,
15, 100 probably.
No, 5, 10, 15. It's a no 5. Yep. I'm sorry, 5, 10, 30. 5, 10, 30. It's a Lone Star 30. It's the Lone Star.
You're
special.
right back, guys.
Okay.
Yeah,
be right back, fellas.
All right.
Okay, there's a gut shot of the two at the top.
The top one is the rectifier. The bottom one is a Shaman 20.
You're right. Wow. Yeah.
CB boards are the same.
Yeah. So I'm looking at. It's the same. All they're doing is they're obviously one was made a lot prettier.
Yeah.
Guess which one, listeners?
The Mesa is the one that looks like it was made in a fucking military factory.
Right. Where the other one looks like it was made in somebody's garage. But,
but dude, if they're the same, like.
That is.
All right. Sorry about that, guys.
So it's pretty much a rectiverb.
Yeah. Wait, Jim and I know you walked away from it. Yeah. So as we were talking, I looked up gut shots for it, right? On Google image search, and I click on it, and then it takes me to a Gear Page article where they're showing gut shots of it versus the Mesa Rectiverb. They're identical. There's probably some component changes, but the layout of the board and everything is almost the same.
Where they put the caps, where they put the resistors, where they put everything.
Here. Let me. I'll share it out to you guys so you guys can see it. Hang on.
Share. You can put it up on the screen, right?
Advanced sharing options. Wait a minute. Share my desktop too.
There we go.
So my mouse is on top of this. Is the that's the rectifier, and you can see this is the Panama music. I mean, that's pretty crazy. Is how close they look. Even the relays are in the same position. I would buy this for $300. Yeah.
Yep.
Because this is not a junk board layout. You can see that there's jumpers here, but they're on a daughter board. So it's decently made. The Mesa is clearly made better. I mean, but it should be for the $1,200 they get for them, or $1,350 they get for them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yep. I will tell you with the Panama, they ship them with inexpensive tubes in them. So
yeah, sure.
And they. All mine, they came with Ruby tubes in them. For the most part, they've all been okay. I'm certainly not an amp tech, but I made the mistake of going and swapping, tubes out in my Shaman 20 on my own. That has proved to be, cause a lot more headaches than it solved. But
yeah,
it's just cool to think that it really is a very similar. You can tell that in the photographs I was just showing you guys. One of the amps has all electrolytic resistors, mostly throughout the circuit, which they're actually higher tolerance parts for what they're doing. So I mean, not electrolytic resistors. They're whatever the blue resistors are, and I know those are supposed to be higher tolerance. So,
yeah, because I was looking at buying a Rectiverb, and that would save me about $800.
Yeah. So cool. Did we have any other topics you wanted to talk about, Jim?
Yeah, I thought so.
I will say, just because I don't know how much time we've got, but
however much you want to spend.
Yeah, we don't clocks. Who need clocks?
Yeah, I mean, we started at what? We started at 8 p.m. my time. It's 9:15 now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we didn't actually start right on time. But yeah.
I will. There's one other regarding YouTube's algorithm thing. There was one other thing that I have that I've noticed that I didn't get a chance to talk about yet, and I'm told that they're based on, I mentioned Daryl Eves earlier. One of the things that he was talking about in one of his videos was, if there's something in there in a video or a thumbnail or something like that YouTube doesn't like, and deems racy, is a term that he used, or that they use actually.
Mhm.
That is grounds for YouTube to put their thumb down on that channel. And, so the video that actually I had that went up yesterday, Jim, you said you saw the original went up, 6 months or so ago, whatever it was.
Yep.
And obviously there was one guitar that I featured in the original video that resembled a
weeder.
I was going to say a specific male body part, but
a weeder.
yeah, we all know what guitar it was, but
the Wangcaster.
The Wangcaster. It was hilarious.
Yeah. So I took, but I edited out that section and put it back up to see if that was what was, might be what's suppressing the growth of my channel here lately. I don't know, but
honestly, I think it's because so YouTube wants not just consistent content a lot. So you see these content providers that are pushing out more and more videos. I mean, Anderson's got daily video.
Yeah, I know.
At least one, sometimes 2 a day. And they have more than one channel. They also have their drum channel and their keyboard channel, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Add that to they want like you were talking about time. And here's the thing. So in the beginning, for those, a little history lesson. In the beginning, advertisers just said, YouTube, just throw money at people. If they're getting a lot of views, let them do it. And then, of course, you had the guy, what the heck was his name that had like 10 million subscribers? The gaming guy who was kind of silly, he's from Sweden or whatever. Anyway,
PewDiePie.
PewDiePie.
So PewDiePie's out there, and he's like, yeah. And then he did some dumb stuff. He was like, yeah, I'm going to pay a guy to go put a swastika on a.
He used the N-word on a live feed too.
He used the N-word on a live feed. Now the guy is,
he ain't all there.
Sitting here, we're all sitting here judging a young kid who grew up. He's a multimillionaire for doing what? For sitting in his house playing video games. And now we're like surprised that he's not really very, socially adept. I don't know why that surprised people. It surprised me. But anyway, so now the content or the advertisers like, whoa, we don't want Tide Pods on a video about how people are eating Tide Pods. We don't want we don't want dishwasher soap on a thing where somebody might say the N-word. So whoa, back it off. So now all of a sudden, like you said, YouTube came up with this very intelligent algorithm that came across, but they went a little too far. And so and the advertisers weren't really smart about the thing. But the thing is this: if a channel gets advertisers, who are they going to want? I had to author on my phone because I'm getting ready to work. Anyway, so the advertisers are going to, of course, want. There's a puppy.
Yep. She wanted to come in and say hi. So
we have lots of animals on the show. Actually,
yes.
There's Jim and I, Jim's dog occasionally, my cats. It's not anything new.
It's not new.
He really is a co-host now.
That's right. You're part of the group.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
This algorithm is set up to make it so that you're still throwing. YouTube wants to make money, so they want to take the money content and put them forward. So the Patreon people are over there going, "Hey, wait a minute, we're over here too." But let's face it. Let's.
Oh, where'd you go, Jim?
I must have muted you.
He muted me.
I didn't like hearing Jim anymore, so I said,
"You didn't want to hear me going."
I'm terribly sorry, Jim.
It's okay. I didn't even know where I was. I did that on my live video, and I forgot where I was, and I forgot to mention what I was doing. But anyway, so because I do have one more thing I want to talk about. But anyway, so when they do that, and they say, okay, we want to put all this advertised stuff, and people are sitting there going, hey, I'm a Patreon person. but I've been with YouTube for so long, and I got all these listeners. YouTube doesn't care because they're not making money on those people unless they're throwing advertised stuff on them. So I can see Glenn Fricker's channel getting pushed aside. I used to see Glenn Fricker stuff come up all the time. And I'm a subscriber. I don't see it popping up.
Yeah, I don't either anymore.
I don't even subscribe to popping up.
Yeah.
And you know why? Because they're like, yeah, we're acting like a free hosting for you, but you're not doing anything for us anymore.
Yeah, if you're not monetized with commercials, they're not going to show your ass in the search listings anymore.
They don't give a rat's ass about you. If you're not monetized, why should they show you even to your subscribers? I've got the bell on for companies I don't even see anymore. I haven't watched that pedal show in months, and I'm still getting that pedal show videos. And I'm not even a subscriber anymore.
Yeah, Jim hates everybody on YouTube. If you didn't know,
don't.
Yeah, you do. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. When I posted the first Buzz Fact video, you called me up and you were like, "You fucking piece of shit! I can't believe you went over to the dark side and started making YouTube videos."
Listen,
he told me he was going to fire me.
Holy shit! I did not say that.
No, you didn't.
This is hashtag sarcasm, folks. But yeah, so I mean, I'm like, shit. You know, the problem I'm seeing with this is that honestly, I can see a new like Patreon creating. You know, YouTube is huge. I mean, let's face it, they are Google. Google owns them, so it is going to be hard for people to get seen more, and they're going to have to come up with a new channel. And it's going to be like when you moved off of what was that thing before Facebook, MySpace?
I think right now social media is so pervasive because YouTube is a social media thing.
Right.
I think because this stuff is so pervasive right now, we can't separate the content from the platform. And that's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that ultimately we will have to separate the content from the platform.
Right. We have to. Well, we moved from MySpace. But see, MySpace never had the kind of money that Facebook and YouTube have. Never had that kind of money.
I mean, I got at work, I'm using Vimeo. We bought a Vimeo account. It's not cheap. It's not something I would suggest somebody like Robert was going to go do. But if you're going to sell your content, because I could definitely see like a Glenn Fricker doing a series on how to mix. He could go over there and he can sell it through their, all inbuilt stuff and not even have to worry about Patreon. And Vimeo is fine. Like I actually, my perspective of their product, their uploads are like 20 times faster than YouTube. I wait for 3 or 4 hours for a video to upload to YouTube sometimes. And at Vimeo, it's like 45 seconds. It's nuts. So,
yeah, mine usually take about an hour.
And
that's just uploading.
And think about this for a minute. Everybody has seen it, and everybody's complained about it. When you upload musical content to YouTube, unless you have a certain level of YouTube content provider, it is shit. It's compressed. Yeah. You could upload the same piece of video. I heard Wampler talk about this. He could upload the same thing 3 or 4 times, and in those 3 or 4 times, he would get 3 or 4 outcomes of how the audio was of his content.
Right.
Really?
Yeah, there's that. And of course, now, and I'm sure you've probably experienced some of this or at least seen it, that they limit your features, like what you can do.
Yeah.
And it's just that I'm, in my opinion, that's a disservice to YouTube itself because those features are available to drive people to content, which is what YouTube should be aiming to achieve. If they're going to do it, what they should do is say, okay, so if you're monetized, then you can have this. If you're not monetized, then you really should have a certain number of subscribers before we're going to allow you to have this. Like, I get that, but that's not how some of these features are set up.
Oh man, I had to, my Teespring shop is finally showing up on my channel, though it does, I don't know if you guys have seen that or not, but I for all the good it's done me so far. But regardless, I mean, I couldn't get that on there until I hit 10,000 subscribers.
Yeah,
and
we can't get a custom URL until 1,000.
Nope.
Yeah. It took me a while to get that.
Well, that's the thing. I own a domain name. Let me point my fucking domain name at it.
Right.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Mind-boggling.
Yep.
In the beginning, they didn't have this. They started that. That's a new thing. But then again, we all have to remember that YouTube is free.
It's a service, right?
You're getting a free service. You're getting free. It's just like me with this shaman. What am I supposed to expect?
Well, then let me pay.
I'm just kidding.
Let me pay the money. I'd be fine with okay. So he's like,
exactly.
You want to unlock these features? Show us you're serious. Pay us some money. I'm fine with that model.
Mm-hmm.
Like we do with Podbean. We say, hey, Podbean, we want it to be HD. We want it to be everywhere. Put us everywhere. And we never want you to delete any content. Okay, pay us X number of dollars a month. All right, I'll do that. Because then I think YouTube would make a killing. The problem that we've got is that they think that their business model, because it started for free, it has to continue for free. No, tell people, you know what? You've got an upload limit of this.
They should have a free tier, but yeah, I mean.
Right, that's what I'm saying. You have an upload limit of X number of videos, and then if you fall off that, they're going to rotate out. You've got whether they do it that way or they say, you know what, you can't have HD. They should pay us $2 or $3 a month. I pay YouTube as it is $15. Here's the weird thing. So I paid YouTube. I don't know if it's $12 a month, but I have a family account with YouTube, so I get YouTube Music and
right.
But I'm ad free. No one, because here's the other thing about YouTube: they do not tell you. They have no real customer service. You can't get a hold of them and say, "Hey,
nope."
Well, of course, because you're not paying.
Mm-mm.
So it doesn't matter if you have.
You can't even send an.
Can't even send an email.
You can't even send an email. You got you go to this spot on their site, and they say, what do you need help with? And then it gives you like 5 different categories.
It wouldn't even let you put in a ticket. I mean, it's
even then, it's I've heard horror stories of how nothing ever
dealt with their customer service before, and I'm not talking about YouTube. I'm talking about Google. And I'll tell you, I used to be a computer consultant, and we had clients using their free business application, and then upgrading and paying, and still not getting customer support.
Yep.
I mean, it was unbelievable. Like, I'm paying you for service, and you can't answer a phone.
They had our company on the wrong place on a map, so that when people would Google Maps and try to find us, they would wind up
in a unique situation. Not a unique situation.
Because that's where the company started, but they had moved. They bought a bigger facility and moved. YouTube, zero help. Not YouTube. Sorry, Google, zero help.
I had a client. This is my last consulting story for the night.
Same deal.
I had a client that they their office was in an old country club building, right? So Google Maps on a map put their office in the middle of a fucking field. In the middle of a golf.
I believe it.
So anybody who wanted to come visit the office would literally drive around this giant fuck field. Just drive around it. You drive around it multiple times, like, where the fuck's the building? Like, I don't understand. And then you finally get there and you pull up and you realize, oh, it's a clubhouse. And you're like, what the hell are they thinking? Like, and then you go in and I asked them, I was like, you realize Google Maps sends you to like the middle of the field? And they're like, well, yeah, but we don't know how to change it. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, I understand your pain because I've seen other companies go through the same shit. I mean, it's not anything new.
Yep. So getting back to that, here's the thing. So I pay them, right? So here's why I got to that customer service thing. I've asked a few people, I said, okay, so when I do this, because I pay for it per month, so I don't get any ads. So how does the revenue work? Because I can watch 1 or a million videos.
You are the revenue.
How does that money get funneled to the right people? Because how are they giving you? I watch your videos every time.
How do they count for monetization?
That's just it. If a paid person doesn't count towards monetization, it makes 0 sense. Makes 0 sense. And again, because I pay and I don't get ads, why are you throwing me videos that are based on your ad revenue? Because you don't have any intelligence built into your stuff to say, hey, wait a minute, this guy is paying for ads. It doesn't matter if I throw a Nicki Minaj video at him. He's not going to watch it, and he doesn't pay for ads. And then they have this thing where it says, I don't know if you've ever done this, like it'll say in a video, I'm not interested in this. You can click the little dots, and you can say, I'm not, and then it says, tell us why. I go, I've watched this before. Then when I refresh it, what's it do? It suggests it again.
Yep.
How fucking stupid are you? How many times do I have to tell you I am not going to watch the latest fucking Katy Perry video? I don't care.
It's because you know what it is, Jim. You're tricking their algorithm, though. You're listening to that "work, work, work" song all the time on YouTube, and that is Katy Perry and Nicki Minaj and
that's
all.
Rihanna. That's Rihanna to Rihanna or whatever her name is.
Yeah, no, but I'm just saying they're lumping them all together, so that's why you keep getting that shit over and over.
Yeah, there is. I don't know. There is something, because I can go into my analytics page and it'll break it down. How much ad revenue I earned from regular ad revenue and how much I earned from YouTube Red subscriptions.
Yeah, and it's like, but he's right. You do get paid for that, but the thing is, it's like such a fraction of an amount. You get more for people. Ads.
It's always way. It's a fraction of what the ad revenue is. So
I also know that you get more money this time of year per ad than you do other times of year, correct?
Ask me next month, because last year, let's see, it was October, I think. That was October or November, late October, that my first video blew up. That was one of the Gibson videos that I had to take down. I didn't have to, but I decided to because I thought it was a good thing to do. But it was, those blew up, and if that I earned my first YouTube paycheck for in, I guess it would have been November, and it was pretty steady ever since. So I've made money every month since then, because they won't pay out unless you make at least $100.
Yeah, right.
So,
I've got to wait about 10 years for that.
Yeah. Well, it's you have one that takes off, and that's really all it takes. Yeah. I had prior because I scratched and clawed for 2 years prior to that, and hadn't made $100 revenue total. Yeah, and that time, I was monetized, but now they because they would still let you monetize for with less than 1,000 subscribers back then.
I'm going to do a video where all I do is say the word wiener.
Wiener. Or you could do what Ole England did. He did every single he for like 2 months, every single video that he put up, he had breasts in the title. Just to see if it would attract more.
I remember that.
So you want to talk about somebody that's got some balls when it comes to that? Stevie T.
Oh my God. That video that he posted the other day. He's so he can get away with it because he's Canadian. Like, if we did that in the States, the feminists would crucify us for doing it. It's bad. It's bad.
Oh, you gotta watch it.
You have to watch it after the show.
Well,
it's bad.
I saw the thumbnail. I saw the thumbnail of it yesterday or today, and I was, I haven't had a chance to watch it yet. That thing's got to be drawing just a gazillion views for that guy.
It's funny. The comments are better than the video. It's unbelievable. But anyway, we'll check it out after the show. I think we're at the end of our hour and a half here.
Yeah.
So I have been David.
I've been Jim.
I've been Robert.
And tonight we have been the Practical Guitarists.
As it were.